no one's self-made.
Yeah, no one got there on their own.
No one got there on their own. It's like we all got there with the help of other people.
I co-lead and co-mentor a group of former gang members, formerly incarcerated men in an organization called Project Fatherhood.
Love it.
And it's all about mentoring them in effective parenting and how to be part of the community. And one night began to talk to me about race and racial differences and what they experienced in their families. And the world opened up to me in terms of learning. In that moment, the tables completely turned, and I became the mentored person.
When I mentor, I'm not getting here to bestow all of my knowledge upon you. It's to get to know you, Jorja. It's to get to know you, Paul. Okay, Paul, where do you want to be? Okay, where do you think you have hangups? So I think a lot of mentors come into it and they're talking way too much and not asking enough questions.
The thing is like for someone being mentored, sometimes you just need information, but sometimes you need someone to kick you in the ass.
Yeah.
I find more than often I'm not sharing my knowledge, I'm sharing my experiences.
Most of my mentors in my life, I honestly could call them tormentors because they pushed me so hard out of my comfort zone. Many of them, I would have butt heads with on many occasions, but because they believed in me and they saw more than I saw at the time, they would continue to push me. And you need that kind of push in your life so you continue to strive and learn and grow. What about you, Paul?
There's certainly been people who've pushed me out of my comfort zone, but I think in a lot of ways, like, my mentors have been more like guardian angels.
That's great.
When I was an undergraduate, I took these two different classes, and in both classes we had to do projects. At the end of the class, both of them said independently to me, they said, you seem to really enjoy this and you're really good at it. You should go to graduate school, and that's actually what I did.
I've worked with gangs for decades, and something both good and bad that I've noticed in gang life is gang members have mentors. There's big homie and there's little homie.
Yep.
And little homie, they're looking up to big homie, and big homie is their guardian angel. But it has real consequences, and it's not going to a PhD program, it's going to a state prison. And I really struggle with how do we begin, or how do we encourage mentorship in pro-social, positive, however you want to label it, directions in communities that don't often have these mentors readily available. You met, I'm going to say Magic Johnson, you met Irvin Johnson, but you're here and you're on campus and there's access.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I think we always talk about social capital and how valuable that is now, right? And there's all of these rooms that many that are underserved not only can they not get into, they don't even know they exist. And so we are literally, from the Sparks perspective, we understand that and take that so much to heart that the amount of work we do in the community and mentoring that has nothing to do with basketball is off the chains. I mean, we literally impacted nearly 30,000 youth and community groups last year alone, from financial literacy to health and wellness to girls and women's empowerment. We're working on a program with STEM and getting girls interested in programming and sciences as it relates to sports and entertainment.
There's a program called PEERS. It's the Program for Excellence in Education and Research in the Sciences, which is why we just say PEERS. The students, they start off from day one focused on making that transition from being a high school student, often at a place where they were never really challenged, so they hadn't developed the study skills, the time management skills, and so we teach them how to do that. We teach them, how do you study? How do you be a strategic test taker? How do you take advantage of things like office hours? Why going to office hours are important. We expose them to researchers at UCLA and all the different kind of work that they do, and broaden their horizons so that they can see that, the world it really is open to them.
There are so many student-run organizations here on campus, especially by those underrepresented populations, because that's where they came from, and thus they want to go and expose those communities who may not even know where UCLA is. They may not have ever gone past this 3-mile, radius of where they were born. So you have students going back to the community, and these are student-run, student-led organizations out of the community programs office. You also have peer-to-peer peer counseling programs. It was phenomenal as peers to hold each other accountable, right? So mentoring then also becomes not this, I'm older than you and wiser than you, but we're peers, and I know what you're going through, but I'm still going to hold you accountable.
No one's self-made.
Yeah, no one got there on their own.
No one got there on their own. It's like we all got there with the help of other people. So Jorja, you could be mentored by anyone across the history of time. Who would you choose?
I'd want to be mentored by Martin Luther King because of working with gangs and conflict and violence, and he really was the ultimate practitioner of an anti-violent approach.
I would love to be mentored by Barack Obama. His background and sort of his rise through politics, he started really small, and he figured out how to scale that message in a way that was impactful and resonated in a way that I've never seen in my lifetime, and I don't think any of us have.
I think for me, I'm going to go contemporary as well, and also a fellow Bruin, Ava DuVernay. I think for to see her tell a story in the most elegant way, but be a badass while she's doing it, that to me is so inspiring, and especially doing so in an industry which is very male and white.
One of the critical things in sort of developing as a mentor is, first of all, you have to want to get involved. And one of the common themes in terms of these 3 amazing individuals we just mentioned, we look to them for inspiration and realize that they didn't grow up in a golden baby crib. They just decided to do it.
Right.
Martin Luther King was not destined to be the man that he was. Obama was not destined to be president. Any of us can do it. You just have to step up and decide that you're going to start, and maybe you're going to start small. You're not going to start off being Ava DuVernay. She had to work up to that. Start small, and have the passion, have the desire, take your small successes and use that as a foundation to build on.
If you impact one person, not even change, but if you impact one person or engage with one person, one other person besides yourself, that's the start of mentoring.
See, I think that's the important part of it, the caring.
Yeah.
I really have seen the mentoring relationship in action over a long period of time as I've worked with and followed and ultimately done research on Father Greg Boyle, who is an icon in Los Angeles. He's the Jesuit priest who 28 years ago started Homeboy Industries with the mantra of nothing stops a bullet like a job. And he is amazing and his approach is amazing. I sat in Father Greg's office and watched as he decided who was going to come into Homeboy and who wasn't. He knew who was ready. He knew who was not. It was both art and science. He could look at a gang member and say, come in, my son or my daughter, or come back when you're ready, you're not ready. Father Greg would mentor them, and what we found was they had transferable skills.
Absolutely.
What made them brilliant drug distributors made them brilliant with Homeboy Industries.
Yep.
What would someone have to do to get you as a mentor?
They got to show up.
Okay.
You know what's
You know-
interesting? There's a quote, one of my favorite quotes, and I think it sums up from both sides. You can pretend to care, but you can't pretend to show up.
Yeah.
And so if we show up as mentors, if they show up as mentees, then I think we could change the world.